sugar and salt. We must have it in our foods to prevent that yuck taste. But medical experts are warning that too much sugar and salt, they're bad for our bodies and for many people must be avoided. Diabetes, tooth decay, cancer, and there is so much more. Joining me to discuss this are Dr. Lois Bookhardt-Murray, Chief Medical Officer at Morris Heights Health Center, and Lorraine Byfield, who is a dietitian. Welcome to Brooklyn 45.
Thank you. Good evening.
Sugar and salt. They're two ingredients that almost everyone uses in their diets. But why must they be so detrimental to our health? I'm going to begin by asking this question to both of you. Dr. Bookhardt-Murray, we'll come to you to ask you to talk about sugar, and Lorraine Byfield will be asking you to talk about salt. So let's begin with the doctor.
Well, sugar is really good to the taste buds, and it is important that we have a little sugar in our diet. The problem with sugar in excess is that it's detrimental to the body, and it is highly addictive.
And the salt, Lorraine?
Increased satiety makes people enjoy their meals better. And because of that, we need it. But in excess, it can cause medical problems.
Well, sugar is one of the most addictive products. As I was doing my research, I remember the song that I heard way back before so many of our listeners were born, although they have been recorded quite recently by people like Tom Jones and other people. And the song goes like, sugar, honey, honey. So let's begin talking about sugar. What does sugar do to your body?
Sugar is highly addictive, number one. So anything that is addicting has an effect on the brain, what we require, what we want, and sugar can be as addicting as anything else that the life kind of revolves around when you're going to get that next rush, that next sugar load. Not to mention that it causes fat cells to be revved up and deposited, and then you get fat cells around the belly, around the hips, around the heart. And this is where the damage comes into the body.
So what really is sugar? I love my honey every now and again. In fact, the song I was just attempting to sing, sugar, sugar, honey, honey. And people love their honey. I love my chocolate. How dangerous would honey and chocolate be?
So again, anything sweet like that, it can be addicting in excess. So the question is, what is excess? And that may vary a little from person to person. I'm sure the dietitian can give us the exact quantity that we should eat every day. But in excess is when people begin to see themselves gaining weight, not losing weight, feeling sluggish. There are telltale signs of eating too many sweets and the body being saturated with sugar.
Okay, Lorraine, it's your turn.
Okay.
Well, I must admit that I love chocolate, but I always choose dark chocolate. So go on, it's your turn.
Okay, so sugar is actually simple carbohydrate. And because it is simple, it is broken down quite easily. The ones that we find naturally in foods, like your fruits and your vegetables and your milk, they are excellent to have. But the one that's added, that is manufactured or made and added to our food, they are the ones that are broken down quite quickly. And what it does, it doesn't satisfy hunger. So you'll eat it and within an hour or so, you're hungry again. And what does that do? It makes your intake more. And then your caloric value of your meals goes up as well. And so you overeat. And when you eat excessively, then that can result in weight gain. And then we know weight gain can lead to other complications.
So my question is, what is excess?
Excess is So the American Heart Association says for female women, we should have about 100 calories from added sugars. For men, it should be about 150, but on average, Americans will consume about 380 calories from actually added sugars.
In a day.
In a day, yes. Correct.
What are the early signs of the ills of sugar? I mentioned earlier that diabetes is one of the many ills.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
So-
weight gain is the first thing that you sometimes see or that happens. So, and as a result, you'll find also pre-diabetes comes about. So it is a stage prior to become diabetic. So you'll find your blood sugar goes up. Your A1C will go up as well outside of the normal range. So those are the first things that you'll see manifested.
I would say sluggishness is a part of that as well. People who tend to eat a lot of sugar tend to have the crashes, the highs and the crashes. We see it in children all the time. We talk about the sugar rush. The same thing can happen to adults. And we get a sugar rush, our bodies just handle that rush a little differently. But it may end up in a state of fatigue.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that, doctor.
It may be that people develop fatigue, a constant fatigue.
Yes.
Okay. I've been told that too much sugar can lead to cancer, doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there have been some studies that have shown that sugar actually fuels the growth. It energizes the growth of abnormal cells, and those abnormal cells can be cancerous cells, and the cancer cells do thrive on sugar. Sugar is a great source of energy. And so all cells need some sugar, right? So if you have good cells, they need a little sugar. If you have bad cells, they also consume sugar, and they tend to multiply much more rapidly in situations where there is an abundance of sugar.
You just said all cells need sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Lorraine was talking earlier about being careful about having an excess of sugar.
Yes.
Let's go back to this again. How do we know? I know you talked about calories, but not everyone understands this thing about calories.
Yes.
In simple language, how do we understand what should we be taking to avoid too much sugar?
All right. So get your sugar from natural sources. So we're talking about your fruits, your vegetables, and your milk. Those contain sugar because remember now the brain uses glucose. And we have to make sure our diet contains it, and not from just these high fructose corn syrup products that we're consuming, like sodas and cakes and cookies. Avoid those. Those are the ones we need to stay away from. But the natural sugars are better. They will stay in the body longer, so you'll feel more satisfied. And that's what we call satiety. So if you feel satisfied, you won't be eating as much, and you won't be eating so frequently. And that will help.
Well, there are some people who use sugar and they are never satisfied. Mm-hmm. Doctor, you're shaking your head. What do you say to those people?
It's true. It's true. So you get to a point where there's also some mind over matter here.
Yes.
The more sugar you eat, the more sugar you want. And you're not satisfied there. It doesn't satisfy the taste buds. You just want more sugar because it tastes good. And that's the addiction piece of it. So there is discipline involved, especially if you're trying to correct a sugar addiction. There's discipline that has to be put into play. And once you go for a period of time with eliminating sugar, your body and your mind will adjust to that.
Mind over matter, as you said.
Mind over matter. Yeah. Our taste buds are very, very powerful. And I just want to say, eating fruits and vegetables is great, but don't eat 10 mangoes a day. And that I hope the dietitian will talk a little bit about that, because some people do eat fruits to excess.
And bananas. I already had my banana for the day. I've got a mango there, but I've been trying to stay away from the mango because I know that Lorraine is going to have something to say about my mangoes.
Okay, so it's okay to have fruits, and we always talk about it because many people think because it's natural, it means you can just have unending amount. Yes, there's limits in that as well, because anything in excess is excessive. And so it's important that you have about 2 or 3 fruits a day, which is okay. So a banana is like 2 servings of fruits, all right? So there you go. So you only can have maybe 1 small apple, another orange or something like that, or a small mango. And if it's very large, a half of it is okay. So moderation is the key. All right, you can always have these things, but in excess, it is a problem as
well. Doctor, your first name I always mispronounce, Bookhardt-Murray.
Yeah, and Lois is my first name, like Lois.
Yes.
Yes. The taste buds are just so powerful, and we learn how to eat when we're children, and we develop those taste buds as children. So you've heard the saying, taste not, want not. If you've never tasted it, you're not going to want it. But once you develop the taste for certain things, sweet things, salty things, you're gonna want those things. And it's a matter of retraining yourself to live with discipline. I think Lorraine said it well. There has to be some discipline there.
And if we don't discipline ourselves, there are these ills that we are running up against. We talked about one of them earlier, diabetes. Also, varicose veins. Does sugar contribute to varicose veins?
It can. Yeah. So the fat cells and the way the veins grow and collateral veins develop. I mean, sugar does many, many things to our bodies. And what it does, mainly, it helps our bodies to lay down adipose or fat tissue. And that is stored. It's supposed to be for energy, but you can have too many fat cells. And then you have a lot of other things that happen with that.
Mm-hmm. And our body depends on sugar, but our bodies also, as a result of too much sugar, I'm told, can age prematurely.
Yeah.
How does this happen?
So I don't know the exact chemical mechanism or the biochemical mechanism that happens to cause aging, but we know that excess sugar can cause people to age. When you look, there have been studies that have looked at animals that eat excess sugar and animals that eat moderate amounts of sugar. And you can see the animal, these are studies usually done in these Macaque monkeys. You can see the animals that eat a lot of sugar, they tend to age much more quickly. Their bones hurt, they're not as active, they're overweight, they're sedentary, and there's some depression that goes on even in the animal kingdom. And the animal that is on moderate sugar diet is jumping around at 10 years old like they're a young animal. So there is something about sugar that speeds up the aging process and actually affects the bones as well.
So what are some of the other ills that our viewers need to be aware of as we tell them cut back on sugar?
Yeah, I would say cancer is the big thing, right? That sugar fuels the growth of abnormal cells. Aging, bone health is important, and sugar can damage the health of bones. And of course, if you're prone to diabetes, then if you eat too much sugar, you're definitely going to have an expression of that diabetic state.
We're in COVID. Lots of people are at home, and lots of ladies are getting pregnant. Yeah. Now, what is the effect of too much sugar on pregnant women and their babies to be?
Yeah, so that effect is usually on the fetus, and when women eat excess sugar, it can actually affect the size of the baby. The babies can be large. That can be associated with complications. God forbid that woman develops diabetes during pregnancy, right? Gestational diabetes can occur, and that needs to be managed. It just brings complications that actually can be prevented. If we can discipline ourselves with sugar intake and consumption, we could prevent a lot of illnesses.
Lorraine, I purchased something today and it said sugar-free.
Okay.
Now, what should we be aware of when we purchase these quote-unquote sugar-free items?
Okay, so sugar-free doesn't mean that it contains no sugar. There are guidelines that tells they might not know added sugar is also seen sometimes. And because it says no added sugar, people think there's no sugar there. Just remember, simple sugar comes in many different forms. So it might, if it's a fruit, you're definitely going to have sugar in there. If it comes from a vegetable, there's sugar there. So it depends on the source of where the sugar comes from. Then it will tell you that and the amount that's actually in the food.
So what alternatives should we be seeking? I know there are sugar substitutes.
Oh.
What are the alternatives that we should be looking at?
Okay, so just use sugar in moderation. As I said, it's okay to have some sugar in your diet. It's the excess that's the problem. So there are also substitutes, as you mentioned. Some of them are not the best. All right, we can talk about stevia, which is the best one that's there because it is from plant source. But we have others that are also a problem because it has been studied and discovered that it has some connection to cancer. So we also want to be careful about what we're doing in terms of substituting. It also, because it's sweeter than the regular sugar, it makes people develop sweet tooth and then they crave sugar a lot. So it can really become a problem as well.
Okay, could you repeat that? You said that some substitutes have more sugar?
Are sweeter than the table sugar, yes.
Okay.
And because of that, when people consume them a lot, they develop over time what we call sweet tooth, and then they are craving sugar all the time. Okay, so even though they're running away from the regular sugar, they ended up becoming addicted to these substitutes.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Just eat a little sugar in moderation. There have been connections to the substitutes with connections to cancer, development of cancer. So I tell people if the label reads like a chemistry lab, please don't eat it. If you can't understand what's written there, dyes and all kinds of chemicals and things, don't eat it. I don't think that was meant to be ingested. And so it's better take a little bit of sugar or stevia or a tiny bit of honey. The closer we get back to a plant-based diet, the better off our bodies are, the happier they are when we eat plant-based.
Yeah, that song again, sugar, sugar, and honey, honey.
Yeah.
But we should always read the labels you're saying.
Yes. Read the labels. If it looks like a chemistry lab, you'll know what I'm talking about when you look at that label. Don't eat it. Don't put it in your body.
Let's talk about salt. So many of us don't want to have our foods unless there's enough salt. And very often this enough salt is too much salt.
Yes.
How much salt is enough and how much salt is too much?
Okay. So the recommendation is that about 2,300 per day is allowed. All right. Anything over that for the day is considered excessive. So when you're reading your labels, any food with one serving greater than 140 milligram of sodium is considered high. So you try to make sure what you're eating per serving should be about 140 or less. So remember, most times we're not eating one serving of any one thing. All right, you might be having 2 or 3 or 4. And so you multiply that 4 by that 140 or whatever the number is on the label. That's the amount you're actually eating.
So we're getting back to reading labels, right? Yeah. And 2,300 milligrams a day, is that equivalent to a teaspoon, Lorraine?
Yes, a little bit. Yes, about that. Yes.
That's a little bit of salt.
Right there. Mm-hmm. Little bit.
Not much salt.
Not much at all. Yeah.
We talked earlier about what kind of sugar is better for us. What about salt? What kind of salt is better for us? Someone said something to me about Celtic or Celtic salt being better than the regular table salt. Doctor, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, people ask that all the time, and I don't know. Some people say sea salt is better. Sea salt, to me, salt is salt. Mm-hmm. And the effect it has on, especially in people of color, the effect it has on our vascular system, causing us to retain water and increase our blood pressure and that kind of thing. I just think salt is, like sugar, a very risky substance if in excess. So I believe that natural salt is the best way. There are vegetables with high salt content like celery, that kind of thing, and just try to avoid adding salt. I know it tastes really good, but there's a price to be paid.
Lorraine, I know you wanted to jump into this conversation.
Yeah, so salt is good, okay, because a little bit of salt is important because it's an electrolyte because it has sodium there, and we do need it. But in excess, again, it's no different from sugar. There's moderation. Anything that is in excess, there's a problem. What salt really does, it really makes food taste better, all right? So we need some in our meals, but at the same time, do not overdo it.
Doctor, earlier we talked about the effect on laps of too much. I want to expand on that a bit. Too much sugar, too much salt. There is this negative effect on laps. And which of them, sugar or salt, or both?
Well, certainly salt has the most negative, has a very negative effect on people of color, especially of African descent. Our bodies tend to retain water in the vascular system. So you may not see swelling of the ankles or that kind of thing, but when you have a lot of water in a container, right, the pressure goes up. And that's what happens within our vascular system. The salt is there, we retain water, and the pressure goes up. That's why water pills work so well in people of African descent, because we get rid of that extra water, hopefully brings down our pressure, and we can change our diet and lifestyle and get off of medications if possible. So sugar is also as bad. For some reason, we tend to be prone to pre-diabetes and diabetes. And there have been some studies that say this goes back to the Middle Passage. For those people of African descent who made it through on the Middle Passage, they made it through because they didn't get dehydrated. Their blood sugars didn't drop. So they were likely carrying some genetic predisposition to high blood pressure or diabetes, and they made it through. They were protected, but now we're in a situation where we're dying sooner than other people because it's working against us, and that's mainly because of our diets, right? So everybody prone to diabetes and hypertension will not get it. It depends on what you expose your body to that will cause those diseases to be expressed.
Several of our viewers are older, I guess graying like me. And people over 60 tend to suffer from arthritis. Is there a connection between sugar intake and arthritis?
Yeah, definitely. Sugar is hard on the bones. Again, I don't know the exact biochemical reaction, but sugar is very hard on the bones, and it does cause the body to age faster. So you want to live longer, eat plant-based diets, get away from sugar, get away from salt, exercise, diet, live long, and live healthfully.
Is there a time of day that we should be watching our sugar intake and our salt intake? Like there are some medications we are told not to use after 6 o'clock in evenings or after 8 o'clock in evenings. Is this the same for sugar and salt?
Well,
go on.
Lorraine?
Oh, no, not at all, because my 6 o'clock, there are many people who work at night. So it depends on your lifestyle and how you do things. But definitely your morning, some people might be midnight, depending on when they're getting home. So have your sweets or your fruits and stuff in the morning, preferred, and not at bedtime. Right? And that's generally. So whether it's in the day or in the night, just don't have it just before going to bed.
Yeah. This is terrible, but I always say if you're going to eat cake, eat it for breakfast.
Yeah. Eat it
Burn it off.
Eat it early so you'll burn it off during the course of the day for energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
We only have about a minute left. What about other ingredients that we can take in the raw state? Are there any suggestions?
Plant-based diet to get your nutrition, whole grains, vegetables, fruits, water. That's a safe diet.
That's a safe raw state.
Yes.
Yeah. Uncooked.
Okay, and Lorraine, the final 30 seconds will be yours.
Yes.
What do you think we've missed that you ought to draw to the attention of our viewers?
Eat for health. Don't just eat for eating's sake. Enjoy your meals, eat a variety of foods, include fruits and vegetables, and drink lots of water.
Okay, thank you, Lorraine Byfield. She is a dietitian. And thank you very much, Dr. Lois. Again, my problems with your name. Bookhardt.
Yes, it's a long name, Bookhardt-Murray.
Bookhardt-Murray. Again, thank both of you for being our guests to discuss the ills and the evils of too much sugar. And so, again, thank you very much for being on Brooklyn 45.
My pleasure.
Thank you for having us. Thanks.
Thank you.
We invite you who have watched this program to partner with Brooklyn 45. You can do this in several ways. You can suggest topics, issues you want us to provide information about, and you can go to our website, www.brooklyn45.com, and become a partner, become a supporter. We are a 501c3 not-for-profit community TV program, and when you support us, our communities benefit from our programs, and so do you. So please support us and tell everyone you know on social media about Brooklyn 45. On behalf of our Brooklyn 45 team, I am Sam Taitt.
Brooklyn 45 is a 501c3 not-for-profit, and we welcome your support. Check out our website, brooklyn45.com, and feel free to donate or share it with your friends and family. Have any comments or questions? Send them to our Facebook, facebook.com/Brooklyn45TV. If you have any questions or topics you think we should cover next, shoot me an email over at brooklyn45tv@gmail.com.